And I seem to be alone, and maybe I should say I seem to be alone in thinking that I find the Igbos extraordinarily intriguing. And I worry about the lamentations because I hear them. But I think there is a theoretical misconception as to the distinction between power and office. There's a lot of lamentation about an Igbo man not being president, or how many are ministers, which ministries are yeye ministries, which ones are the good ministries. But really, for the 21st century, office holding is actually out of the window. And they were really thinking now and should be privileging ideas and knowledge. Something that I believe the Igbos have, in such huge quantities. But I will speak to that at the end of my presentation. But just to say that I also find the Jewish people very fascinating, because even after losing everything, I was looking up the records. And perhaps outside Israel, I don't know where else anybody of Israeli descent is president or prime minister. And yet, you cannot move forward or backward in American politics without the influence of the Israeli lobby. So really, for me, the question is to square the circle and ask, what is the relationship between office and power? That theoretically, you can have office without power. And it is possible to have power without office. And I think for me, these are some of the issues that an extraordinarily endowed people like the Igbos should really be contesting. However, perhaps that is a conversation for another day. But when I looked up the list, I also discovered that, in Nigeria, the Igbos have done what, I don't know whether it has happened in any country. That is, they lost the war and then took over the narrative. Because everything there is to be said about Biafra or about the Civil War has been written by the Igbos. And there is, of course, there are those who have written a bit of faction and fiction. People like Eddie Iro, Chimamanda is a cross between faction and fiction. But again, when you look at people like Ben Bulli and others who actually dealt with very concrete historical realities to give interpretation to what really happened, I think a combination of these forces then suggests that perhaps, I think, as they say about history not being taught in Nigeria, I think we need to be looking at a slightly different template, because I looked at the facts and I found that the Jewish people, who constitute only a mere 14 million or 0.02% of the world population, have in the last 50 or so years, or more, well, perhaps more, 10 Nobel laureates in literature. 8 Jewish people have received the Nobel Peace Prize. A staggering 53 have received the Nobel Prize for Physics. 13 have received the Nobel Prize for Economics. And 44 have received the Nobel Prize for Medicine. So I think from the point of view of impact and influence, we must add the mix.